And we are back with the third segment of the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. And in this third segment, we are going to be we're going to give a quick recap of the NBA games that happened last night. But before that, there's more breaking news, Jesus Christ. Okay, so breaking news is about Michael Porter Jr. and his brother, who, if you listen to the last segment that I did, recently got taken out of the rotation for the Toronto Raptors for allegedly being involved in a sports gambling problem. And they were looking into two games in particular. And you can watch the previous segments where I cover exactly like what that is and like all the details. But Michael Porter Jr., so that's his brother, he had this quote to say: "People in the crowd are saying what they need you to score or what they don't want you to score. Every night you're disappointing someone. It's part of the game now, blah, blah, blah." Just because, there's dots there and things that's not important. Jonte, his brother, loves the game of basketball. "I've known my brother my whole life. I know what type of dude he is, and I know he's excited to play basketball, and I highly doubt he would do anything to put that in jeopardy." So, obviously, these are some very, very nice words coming in from a brother, and words that you'd expect to come in from a brother, to, have your brother's back. And, even if, you're not even if it doesn't necessarily have to be your brother. It could be anyone else that, you're just really close with. You got their back, and, you know that you got their back. But I will say that this might just be, him just being a good brother, because the allegations, they're a little bit sketchy, and they're almost too sketchy to not be real, if that makes sense. For it to not be a possibility, that's a little too sketchy. But again, this is still an investigation that the NBA is undergoing, so it might not even be true. So let's go right ahead and get into this quick recap. And what might not be true is that he might not have even been participating in the over and under on his stats. But who knows? Still up in the air, still an NBA investigation. So first on the list is, since Carrito, he brought up the Golden State Warriors. I guess he's a Warriors fan. I don't know what it is. Might as well talk about the Warriors beating the Orlando Magic. So I can't do my little jingle with the Orlando Magic. But the Magic, they did not play well in this game, at all. The only scoring came in from Cole Anthony coming off the bench with 26 points. Paolo Banchero, he shot very, very poorly this game, 5 of 17 for 15 points. Franz Wagner ended the game with 14 points on 14 shots. So again, not very impressive coming in from the rest of this team. They shot 31% from three. That's not enough to beat the Warriors, no matter how mediocre the team actually is. Klay Thompson, actually, before I begin, Draymond Green, he literally got ejected within the first 4 minutes because he was complaining to the ref. And this is a big problem, because if Draymond Green keeps getting suspended like this and keeps getting ejected like this, well, not suspended, if he keeps getting ejected like this, he might get suspended indefinitely yet again. And this hurts the team. This genuinely hurts the team. Now there are talks saying that Now there are people that are thinking that maybe Golden State should just blow up the big three completely. Like Rondo, he said, "For me, it might be time to break up the Warriors dynasty. I don't think you should continue to hold on to it, just like they broke up the big three in Boston." So now you have teams that are thinking that this big three isn't even enough to win the title. And part of it, Draymond's distractions are definitely not helping this team. But as a LeBron fan, yay, Curry downfall. But I digress. I like Curry just as much as any player. I really don't like his fans. That's the main thing. But regardless, speaking of Curry and his fans, Curry ended the game with 6 for 18 from the field, 17 points. But he hit the dagger. He hit a very important shot late in the game when they really needed it. And the stipulation around Curry is that he is not a clutch player. That's just the stipulation around him. I don't think he's a very clutch player. I definitely think he's improved in the clutch compared to previous years. But overall, like in his career, I don't think he's a clutch player. Just overall. Now, obviously, like he is a clutch player now, but I don't think one season of being clutch is enough to encompass your entire career. That's just me. But unless you're LeBron, where 2011 completely encompasses his entire career, if you ask a bunch of LeBron haters. But I digress. So, again, he hit the most important shot of the game, but he only ended with 17 points and shot 18 times. So, let me know in the comments, is that good or is that bad? Because that was, the shooting performance, that's a really bad shooting performance, but at the end of the day, he hit the most important shot for the team. So, like, where would we put this? Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Andrew Wiggins ended the game 8 for 17 from the field, 23 points. Klay Thompson, 6 of 13 from the field, 15 points. 3 of 8 from 3. Really, really bad shooting from Klay. It's very, very difficult to see. It's like the ultimate downfall. There was no Kuminga in this game, so the fact that they were able to beat the Orlando Magic without Kuminga is definitely saying something, but again, not saying much. But I digress. Next game, we go on to the New York Knicks. They destroyed the Raptors, 145 to 101. Obviously, since there was no Scotty Barnes, it makes sense how the Raptors are tanking and not tanking, but their record is getting worse and worse. So, let's look at the box scores for this Knicks game. Miles McBride, he was the point guard of the day, and he ended the game with 29 points, playing 40 minutes. Jeez. Josh Hart ended the game with 7 points, 10 assists, 6 rebounds. We love a little Hart. DiVincenzo ended the game with 16 points, 5 rebounds. Jalen Brunson ended the game with 26 points, 7 assists. And Isaiah Hartenstein ended the game with 15 points. Precious ended the game with 19 and 12. Bojan Bogdanovic ended the game with 18. And Mitchell Robinson, he made his return, ended the game with 8 and 2 on only 12 minutes played, and he did not miss a shot. So, and think about it. This team doesn't even have Julius Randle. Julius Randle is up and down sometimes, but still, he brings value to the team. So imagine just how much better this New York team is going to be when Julius Randle gets back. Thank the Lord we have something in New York to root for, because you guys know exactly what's coming up. The Brooklyn Nets. Time to talk. So, the Nets, they were this close to losing to the Wizards, another terrible team, and they were this close to letting Jordan Poole have the game of his career. In fact, he probably already had the game of his career in this game. He played 45 minutes, ended with 38 points, 8 assists, and 7 rebounds. Why are we bad at defense? Why are we letting Jordan Poole score so many points? He is not that guy. He is just a shot chucker. Why are we letting this man score so many points? It is irritating, and I literally have a headache just thinking about it right now, because that game was literal torture. I had to watch that man hit bucket after bucket after bucket after bucket after bucket like he is a third Splash Brother. No, he is not. What is this? And then the Brooklyn Nets, on the other hand, Mikal Bridges, 19 points, 47 minutes. Got someone in the chat. Kaizen. Hey, are you a Nets fan? I wonder. But yes, I am a Nets fan. That is the team that I support because I'm from Jersey, and the Brooklyn Nets used to be the New Jersey Nets. So that's the team that's closest to me and my identity. And not only that, I'm a fan of all the New York teams except the Bills and the Jets. No. But regardless, and the Islanders, because for any of you guys that watch hockey out there, not a big fan of those guys. But regardless, it's 47 minutes, and you can only put up 19 points. What are you, Kyrie in Game 1 of the Finals? No. Cam Thomas ended the game. Thankfully, he was just as much of a bucket as Jordan Poole was. He ended the game with 38 points, so it essentially canceled out Jordan Poole's scoring production. thank the Lord. Dennis Schroeder ended the game 8 of 19 from the field, 21 points. Claxton ended the game 8 for 11 from the field, 17 points. And Dorian Finney-Smith, 2 of 9 from the field. You want to know what would have helped us in this game? Defense. You want to know who plays good defense? You guessed it, Ben Simmons. Where's Ben Simmons? I don't know. I have no idea where he is. Maybe we should ship him off. Like, get him off my team. Please get him off my team. That's all I want. If that happens in the near future, I will never complain about the organization ever again. I want him gone. But I digress. Moving on, we're going to talk about the Cavs going up against the Hornets. And again, scoring was relatively, it was meh in this game. Final score was 118 to 111. And the Cavs are expecting to get Donovan Mitchell back in the lineup relatively soon. How soon? Not entirely sure. Maybe just before the playoffs. They're definitely going to need him. Darius Garland, he is good. 14 points and 12 assists. They definitely need a lot. They're definitely missing Donovan Mitchell's production in terms of scoring. Darius Garland, he ended the game 5 of 15 from the field. Again, those assists were very good, but that shooting is not going to help this team. Jarrett Allen ended the game with 24 points, 11 of 14 from the field. That is a former Brooklyn Net that I wish was still on the team because he plays defense and he dunks the ball and he's not scared of laying the ball up when there's a Trae Young in the paint. Evan Mobley ended the game 10 points, 6 assists, 6 rebounds. And Max Strus ended the game with 19 points. So, relatively good scoring. Again, they were just missing Donovan Mitchell's performance and his production. That's what they were really missing. Now, on Charlotte's side, Brandon Miller came out of nowhere and scored 35 points. He literally just came out of nowhere, and now he's just been a really good scoring option. Well, in the beginning of the year, people thought he was relatively crazy for some of his basketball takes, and now all of a sudden it's he's actually a really good basketball player. 31 points, 6 rebounds. That's not what I said. That's what the media is saying. He's a really good basketball player. I didn't know that. But they didn't really give him that much of a chance. So now that they have, I guess you could say that Charlotte might be regretting it. Let's see. Vesalije Misic, again, forgive me if I botched that name completely, ended the game with, he ended the game with 11 points and 12 assists. Trey Mann ended the game with 17 points. And Nick Richards ended the game with 11 and 10. Let's see. Grant Williams ended the game with 16 points as well. And no LaMelo Ball in the lineup. It's been a while since I've heard overtime talk about LaMelo. Well, now because their new favorite thing to talk about is Victor Wembanyama. So, been a while since I've heard from LaMelo. Again, he is injured and he is out, so hopefully we'll see him return. I really am a big fan of LaMelo and his play. I think while he is flashy, he does know how to play the point guard position very well, and he definitely knows how to set up his teammates and setting up himself. Now, on to the nitty-gritty. Now, the Clippers going up against the Sixers. So, Kelly Oubre, the big story about this game wasn't even that the Clippers ended up winning 108 to 107. The big story was the post-game results of what Kelly Oubre did. So, Kelly Oubre, late in the game, there was a jump ball, and the ball ended up being tipped over to Philly side. Kelly Oubre grabs the ball, only a few seconds left, and goes straight to the paint, tries to go up, but Paul George gets a stop. And Kelly Oubre thought he should have been fouled. I'm just reading the comments right now. Kaizen said Kelly Oubre went off, but not in the game. Yeah, and I'm getting to that. So essentially, Kelly Oubre, towards the end of the game, he thought he got fouled, and there was a huge scuffle on the bench, like not on the bench, but it was a huge scuffle mid-court with the refs. And yes, Kaizen in the chat, he says he called everyone a B word. And by everyone, he meant specifically the 3 referees that he was talking to. So Kelly Oubre, he went, "You are a B word." I'm not going to say that live on the show. "You are a B word. You are a B word. Your mom's a B word." That's the quote. That is the entire quote of what he said. Obviously, he didn't say B word. He said the other word. But, you guys can substitute in what exactly that word is. And he hasn't been fined yet, honestly, which I'm very surprised. I thought the NBA was going to hit him with a $100,000 fine, which they probably will towards the end. And it's like, this is sort of the type of, I understand, you have passion for the game and things of that nature, but it's like, the game is over, my guy. You did not have to go and cuss everybody out like that. Like, what was that win in hindsight, what was that going to accomplish? Like, that wasn't really going to accomplish anything. And Kaizen in the chat, he says he even went and said he added grandma and their auntie? Excuse me, Kelly. Well, regardless, still, it's really a bad thing to say, and it's really, not something that you would want, from one of your players, to just get thrown out like that. Well, the game was over, but still, it's the game is over. You don't have to argue with that and things like that. But I'm going to do a quick recap of all the other games because we are running out of time for this other segment. I mentioned earlier how the Suns, they beat the Denver Nuggets. Part of that is because of Kevin Durant's ridiculous 30-13 game. But the other part was sort of forcing Jokic to pass the ball and forcing his teammates to win the game for him. Now, another argument could be made that, the Denver Nuggets didn't win because Jokic didn't get a triple-double. Because he didn't. He was 1 rebound short. 22 points, 10 assists, and 9 rebounds. And he shot 9 of 16 from the field, 1 of 5 from 3. Now, the Suns, I'm not even going to lie, I think the Suns got lucky in this one. Because, again, if his teammates start hitting the shots that they needed to hit, it's game over for them. And Devin Booker did not play well whatsoever. Neither did Bradley Beal. So they really got saved with Kevin Durant in this matchup. Some of the other important games that went down. Let's see. The Spurs, they just played the Jazz. They won 118 to 111. Devin Vassell ended the game with 31 points. Victor Wembanyama ended the game with 19, 8, and 6. Not really much that needs to be said. They're both relatively bad teams. And I did completely forget to mention that the Nuggets, they did not have Jamal Murray in this lineup, if I remember correctly. I don't remember seeing him out on the floor while they were playing. Yeah, no, he wasn't in the lineup. Oh, and there's someone in the chat, Kaizen. He said they did not have Murray. Thank you for bringing that up. Because, yes, they didn't have... almost dropped my water bottle. They did not have Jamal Murray, who is a very vital piece to that offense. But still, I feel like they definitely could have won without him. But I digress. Timberwolves ended the game... Well, they obviously beat the Pistons 106-91. Not really much that needs to be said. Jalen Green completely shocks the Oklahoma City Thunder. I did an entire segment on him the other day, apologizing because I clearly just wasn't familiar with this man's game. 37 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists in final OT. And obviously, the Thunder, they did not have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, which is probably the big reason as to why they did not end up winning this game. But regardless, they still have a very good team and a very competent team that you'd really expect them to beat a team like Houston, especially when Jalen Williams is scoring 23 points and 10 assists, and when somebody else scores 31 points. I am not going to say his name, but you guys can look his name up in the box scores. Not going to say his name. Dylan Brooks ended the game with 20 points, and Amen Thompson, he's been a very, very important player to the Houston Rockets and their success. 25 points and 15 rebounds in this game on 10 of 18 shooting. Very, very impressive stuff coming in from Houston. 10-game winning streak. This is the first time since they had Harden in, I believe, 2018-2019, where they went on a 10-game winning streak. I'm just going to make sure that that's No, 2017, 2018. Excuse me, wrong year. This is the first time where they've been on a 10-game winning streak since that time frame. Any other games that I missed? Hawks going up against the Trailblazers. That's a game that, like, again, it's like two mediocre teams, not really anything special. The Pacers lost to the Bulls because the Bulls ended up scoring 125 points on them, and the Pacers, they didn't have anything on offense. Tyrese Halliburton played 31 minutes and only ended with 13 points. 4 of 15 from the field, 3 of 11 from 3. Is this the guy that's supposed to be better than Trae Young? I don't think so. And again, the Pacers, they did not have their offense, and because they didn't have offense, their defense, since they don't have that, they ended up losing in a blowout 125-99. And this is the big problem that this team is going to see in the playoffs. If their offense isn't there, they have nothing to fight with. Absolutely nothing to fight with. And the Bulls, DeMar DeRozan, DeMar ended the game with 27 points. Kobe White ended with 18 points. Caruso ended with 12, 7, and 7. And Vucevic ended with 22 and 12. Hold on, I'm just going to look at the... Okay, I'm going to answer that question in the next segment because we are running out of time for this segment. So tune in for the fourth segment where I talk about Caitlin Clark and her contract with the Big Three and some sort of things that a lot of haters are saying about her being part of the Big Three. But I will also answer your question in the next segment, Kazan. So just give me 1 second. I will be right back after this short break.